Okay, we're going to reconvene to open session. Call to order open session at 6:05. Report of actions taken in closed session, there were none. Attendance roll call. Clerk Ellership. Trustee Lopez is absent. Trustee Reed? Here. Trustee Galindo? Here. And Student Rep. Beardsley? Here. And President Maxwell here. Will you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, approve, adopt agenda. Any changes?
No changes.
As good as we got? And we didn't switch them on me like we did last week? Or we went, okay. All right.
Promise.
All right. Looking for a motion.
Oh, I think the recess
All right. All in favor? Student reps? All right. Opposed? District mission statement. We are a collaborative, culturally rich educational community where rigorous and innovative curriculum prepares our students to be successful contributors to our global society. Item 10.0, public comments. Public business from the floor, non-agendized items. This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the board on any item regarding board business that is not on the agenda. Without taking action or entering into a dialogue with the public, board members may briefly respond to statements made or ask clarifying questions about topics posed by the public. Your matter may be referred to administration. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. And if there are any public comments, we've got public comment cards that we're going to, so we can kind of keep track of who's saying what in their names and so on and so forth to be a little bit better organized for our minutes.
Anybody that has them?
Well, should we just start at the top? All right, Ms. Ellie Galindo.
Hi, my name is Ellie Galindo, and I'm here tonight as the president of the Calistoga Elementary School PTA. And I don't know if all of you were aware that we have reestablished the PTA at the elementary school campus in a long process last year. And this has been our first full year of activity. And we thought maybe it would be a good idea to give you an idea of what we've been doing. So on Halloween, because the kids aren't allowed to wear their costumes to school, we had a Halloween carnival after school. We anticipated about 200 children. We got about 350. That was a very big event. On the last day before holiday break, we also did a family movie night where we showed Polar Express. All the kids wore their pajamas and brought their blankets and got cocoa and cookies and popcorn. We think there were about 250 to 300 people attending that event as well. And then for the remainder of the school year, we've just approved the purchase of a great big wall decal. It's a removable sticker to put into the library at the elementary campus. And it doesn't have any leaves on it, so we're going to incorporate reading participation for National Reading Month next month with the kids who participate and achieve some kind of reading goals get to add a leaf or their name or their achievement in some way up on the library wall. And we are also planning our jogathon for Friday the 5th of May. So obviously be a Cinco de Mayo theme, and hopefully we'll get all the kids out there and reinstate the jogathon, which apparently was a big success in years past.
It's been a while.
And then on another note, I also wanted to say thank you for adding the safe haven resolution samples to the agenda this week. I really appreciate how quickly that has moved, and I think it will be a good support. Thanks.
Thank you. We're getting so official here. Brian Fenton, Calistoga.
Yes, Brian Fenton, and I wanted to discuss an item you had on your agenda for the closed session, Gallus property. A few months ago, the superintendent was at our PTA meeting to go over the job search for the new superintendent. And one of the parents there did ask a question. She had heard rumors about activity, development, sale, something going on with that property, and the superintendent said there was nothing going on that she was aware of. So now you have, under your closed session, real property negotiations taking place on this property. Now, I might have missed something, but I'm not aware of any public discussion at a meeting. Perhaps there was. But this is an item of extreme public interest. And if there is any decisions to be made on this, directives, for example, if you need something to negotiate, you can't just go, let's go negotiate. So I'm curious about, like I said, once again, I have not gone to all the meetings, but I haven't seen anything in the minutes to describe what the directive was to be negotiated on that property, because it really needs to be discussed and deliberated in public before there is any directive to negotiate.
Agreed. Michelle H.
Hello. I'm here to invite you to the next Calistoga Junior Senior High School music concert. It is Wednesday, March 1st at 7 p.m. here in this room. And the theme is The Sound of Color. Also, March 2nd is open house here at the high school. And hopefully there will be a pizza truck. And also at the Calistoga Elementary School, this Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, before and after school, they will be selling Valentines. So if you are interested, please stop by. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Michelle.
The proceeds from the pizza truck goes to the music boosters.
Aha! Okay, gotcha. All right, any other public comments? There's no other cards. I see that we do have a card for talking about the public hearing, so we should just jump into that. Okay, item 11.0, public hearing. As an elected governing body of the Calistoga Joint Unified School District, the Board of Trustees conducts public hearings for the purpose of maintaining open communication with parents, students, and residents of the Calistoga community and school district. Through the public hearing process, trustees seek ideas and viewpoints regarding the efficiency and quality of district-sponsored programs or any other area of the operation of the district and its schools. The trustees believe that open communication is a key element in the ongoing process of district, school, and program improvement. Item 11.1, public hearing on temporary easement. And we're going to open the public hearing at 6:15. Comments from staff and board.
As the board is aware, we have been working with the city of Calistoga to try to facilitate the replacement of the Berry Bridge. There have been several months that we have met. We have also had our architect be part of those meetings to take a look at the design as well as look into the extent to which they would require a temporary easement. At the last board meeting, the board adopted a resolution wherein it affirmed the intent to proceed with this hearing, as well as potentially, again, adopt the resolution actually providing the city with the temporary easement that they need to be able to replace that bridge.
Any comments from the board? Comments from the public? We kind of stole that idea from you guys.
The smart way to do it. Good evening, Chris Canning, Mayor of City of Calistoga, City Hall, Washington Street. Wanted to thank the superintendent and thank Board of Trustees for considering this matter. Obviously, it is an urgent situation with the replacement of Berry Street Bridge needing to be done. It is a necessary conveyance, especially for the school itself, the elementary school. I won't go into many details about the architecture, the design, the engineering, but for your benefit, should you have any questions, we have with us tonight Director of Public Works, Mike Kearns, we have Derek Rayner, Deputy Director of Public Works and City Manager. This is an item that has come before the City Council before, some of you may have read, and we have chosen to move forward with this expeditiously. It is absolutely a critical and necessary situation, and we appreciate your support on this endeavor and the help you provided to this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Scott? Please state your name and address for the record.
Scott Lestrange, property owner, across from a neighboring elementary school, 1701 Gorney Creek Road. Thank you for having me tonight. I know some of you, and obviously people who know me, I'm not bashful about my opinions. And, I really haven't discussed in detail what our concerns are as property owners that are subject to this temporary pedestrian bridge. The city historically took an action in eminent domain. I don't know if they've researched it, but I think it's the first time in the history of Calistoga action like this has been taken. Mainly I'm here tonight because it affects the kids, the elementary school. The kids, and I'll confine it to the children and the kids and the students, because the pedestrians will be using it, adults, I guess bicyclists too. But when we first heard of this bridge, and what I'm going to say, city officials have heard of it before, so it's no news to them, but we found out about it through a newspaper article. Weren't contacted about it. So basically, we deduced that this temporary pedestrian bridge on the property was going to go right through the middle of it. Not really through the middle, but take a substantial portion of riverbank, trees, walkways, lawns. Didn't know what it consisted of. We never were contacted by the city as to what their intentions were, what the specifications of this easement was. So anyway, make a long story short, I contacted the mayor, expressed our concerns as property owners. We're having children going through our property on the season. Basically, there were two concerns of ours. One, obviously, even though this is temporary, it's not. The riverbank is going to be destroyed. It's a permanent taking. Can't replace it. So there's nothing temporary about it. The second concern was the safety of pedestrians and the kids. How are you going to have a construction pedestrian walkway next to a construction zone? And kids are going right next to it. It's a matter of feet. We're kind of incredulous that it would even be thought of. So I expressed my concerns to the mayor, city officials. Anyway, it's been 15 months of negotiations. To no avail. We finally got documents. It took us through demands, excuse me, demands and letters to get what this is all about. I mean, we had absolutely no documents whatsoever. We were contacted by, I had some meetings with the city managers, councilmen, and we again expressed our concern about safety. So it just fell on deaf ears. They seemed to be bent on the remedy of, well, if something happens to one of the kids, injury, he'll get indemnified. Well, that's, you know, I'm not here about the money. Because they offered us tens of thousands of dollars to have this easement. It's not about the money. And I think two of you know that I'm all about kids. You know, they're a part of my life. Even though I'm retired, I still spend a lot of time with them. So anyway, I tried to really narrow down the issues as to safety. I mean, this bridge, I call it a bridge. There's gas lines that are going to be attached to it. So a friend of mine happens to be a retired regional manager for PG&E, and I ran by him. And he was shocked. PG&E would even think of attaching a gas line to a temporary pedestrian bridge where kids are walking over and pedestrians are walking over. Everything goes underground nowadays with PG&E. And he said that basically they probably wouldn't do it, but I guess it was expressed to me that they do it. They just got fined $3 million. They're ordered by a federal judge to run safety ads. And like this friend of mine said, there's an earthquake, some catastrophic event like that, those lines are going to rupture. So, I mean, he couldn't fathom that they'd do it. Even think about it, we can't either. Because it'd be easy to reroute those gas lines. That was to no avail. Stress walking through a construction zone. These things are, machines are going to use are huge. They're cranes. They're going to be hanging everywhere. High voltage lines, where are they going to go? I guess they could reroute those. But there just seemed no concern about the safety of the kids. We looked over the documents. We found absolutely no written rules or protocol about safety. None. There's one reference to the CEQA document that discusses safety as it relates to the school. There's nothing in any of these documents. And these things, we got like 5 binders. The cities have to comply with it. The only thing, and I don't know, I don't know what your discussions have been with the city, but this is what they have to do with the elementary school. The city shall, I'm referring to page 95, litigation measure. The city shall, as contractors, shall coordinate at least 2 months in advance of construction with Calistoga Unified School District and their representative regarding time, location, duration of the project. They will also prepare a parent outreach program. And I don't know if that's been done. I'm glad Ms. Window's here because I wanted to talk to PTA a week ago when I was referred to the school board. I don't know whether that's been done. I doubt it. start ripping up riverbanks and trees within the next couple of months. I don't know, and we, as property owners, where the kids are going to be walking across, they've never given us any indication of what the safety measures are going to be. Are there going to be privacy walls? I know at the school, there's a noise reduction, and that's, again, in the CEQA document. They're going to put a big wall, I guess, for noise. But on the south side, our side, where the kids are going to walk, there's nothing. I don't know if there's going to be fences, there's going to be walls, I don't know. We haven't been told. So we're kind of, I would say, upset. It's made us very uncooperative with the city. And we have tried to resolve this. What are the answers? One of the options I expressed to the city, this pedestrian bridge, I guess comes in parts. And the crane is going to lower it down. And it's going to be next to the construction of the main bridge. When it's over, when the construction of the main bridge is over, it's going to move down 100 yards downstream to be used as a pedestrian bridge. My question was, why not build it now downstream? That way the kids won't have to walk through the construction zone. There won't be gas lines, high voltage lines. It's a 5-minute diversion on the intersection of Berry and Washington, the kids. In fact, on the south side, kids who live down on Washington Street, it's easier for them. They can just walk down Lincoln, Washington, the Lincoln to Cedar, or go between where this bridge is going to be on city property, between Sharpson Museum and the community center. Walk over that bridge. It's going to be there anyway, through the park and down Cedar. Now, I was told that they can't do it. They can't get the permits. And it's hard to buy because they own the property. The footings are in there, Rich. The studies of the stream beds have already been done. I'm sure they could fast track this, or, delay the project. They don't want to do that. They're kind of in panic mode. But as it stands now, and it was really interesting too, because this bridge, again in the CEQA document, it talks about this bridge down by the Pioneer Park, and we call it the temporary bridge placement, Pioneer Park. And basically, in page 72, it refers to a pedestrian bridge fish barrier removal near Pioneer Park by the City Council of Calistoga and Napa Resource Conservation District, currently funded through planning and design phase only, and scheduled for removal tentatively planned for 2017. So they're going to have to remove this anyway, because apparently Fish and Game said, move it, get it out of there, get it out of the river. So this bridge could go right there.
So Scott, you've been at it for about 10 minutes now?
I know. But,
So can you...
basically, I'll end by saying this. I don't know what your vote's going to be with respect to this. I'm not naive enough to think I can persuade you to, maybe take a time out and go over this, especially as it relates to safety of kids. But I know one thing. We're going to demand it, my wife and I. And if it means, if we see something unsafe on our walkway, the bridge is going to get stopped. I'm going to get injunctions. I don't want to sound threatening, but that's the way it's going to be. To me, what should be done right now is, if you're going to pass this, make the city come up with I mean, this bridge is going to be wide. We've watched that for 17 years. Cars fly by there. They're going 45, 50 miles an hour on that stretch. At least get a speed bump, if not a speed bump. Have you seen those lights, those flashing lights, 25 mile an hour? Get those in there. Get those installed. You have the power to do it now. They need this easement from you. Why not make it safe? Because right now it's not safe. So, what it boils down to, I ask you to make this bridge childproof. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Scott.
Any questions?
In regards to student safety, is there a safety plan in regards to student activity hours with construction companies? Because everything else is out of our hands. The students are concerned. And so is any input on that note?
Scott, you're falling apart.
Good evening. My name is Derek Rayner. I'm with Calistoga Public Works Department. And in response to your question, yes, there's a safety program. The contractor is required by our specifications for the project, and the general conditions and the technical specifications to submit a safety program. They have to meet OSHA requirements, federal and state, as well as all the health and safety requirements. And a lot of those measures are going to be spelled out in the contract, and they have to submit a traffic control plan as well. They're going to be putting up barricades, putting up fencing, and providing protection. There's also an OSHA requirement for cranes in particular that you can't operate a crane below people. You just can't. So that won't happen on the project, just to give you some reassurance that it's going to be a safe project.
And the OSHA requirements and the safeguards will have the student activity, the hours of activity along the lines. And would be formed to the safeguards, the student activity hours, the crane operations, as well as the heavy equipment. Will these concerns be addressed in
Yes, they will. And we've been meeting with this district staff, and we've been reviewing how we're going to make sure that the students are safe, and where we're going to put the fencing up to keep the children walking down to cross at Cedar, and then coming back up will be a fence on the school side to make sure that the students are coming up outside the sidewalk and walking around the construction zone. And the contractor will also have to have folks out there observing and making sure that nobody's crossing, things like that. So, to answer your question, we could put in more specific requirements as well into the contract, more specific to your needs if necessary.
That would be great.
Any other questions? Any other comments? Since no more comments from the public, we were going to close this public hearing at 6:35. Moving on, item 12, reports, recognition, information, discussion items. 12.1, superintendent search. Verbal update, Mr. Scott Mahoney, welcome.
Thank you very much. You guys better get ready to get busy here. Next 2 months are going to be filled for you, picking your next superintendent. So just a fast update, the application period closes this Friday. Right now you have 15 hard applications with about
15?
15.
15.
With, I'm thinking based on people I've spoken with, about 10 more. So that'll close this Friday at 5 o'clock. Screening will take place with the 3 screeners. They'll do their work starting Friday. I'm going to meet with them on the 16th, come up with candidates for you to look at. And again, the process is that the screeners come to consensus on a group that all three feel comfortable recommending to you, a group that none of the three feel comfortable recommending to you, and then a group in the middle. I'll review all of those with you, all candidates with you, on February 22nd at 4 o'clock in the boardroom. That's a closed session, that's a special meeting. And interviews are set for March 10th and 11th, that's a Friday and Saturday. If you choose to interview 6 candidates, if you choose to interview more than 6 candidates, interviews will start that Thursday. We'll go Thursday, Friday, the final interviews on Saturday. Vetting or reference checking will take place the 11th through the 17th. That's the process whereby I contact about 15 references for the candidates that you're focused on, or more if that's your desire. And then the professional background check, where the professional investigators will check criminal background, Megan's Law, credit report, and Department of Motor Vehicles report. You'll then develop a contract with your attorney or your chosen candidate and approve the candidate at your April 4th board meeting. Hopefully you'll go on a site visit if the candidate is somewhere that's accessible, and I think that will happen, that 1 or 2 or 3 of you will choose to go visit where that person is, to ask the people there where he or she is all about that person, so you feel really comfortable about who you're hiring. It's typical that after contract approval, there'll be some kind of a reception. It's often done by the PTA. Talked about that briefly. And then it's also typical that the candidate would spend about 3, 4, or 5 days in the district working with your current superintendent, getting to meet people before the official start date of July 1st. What we need to do still is to do some preliminary reference checking of the candidates we received already. And what I do is I call at least one reference, and I go back 10 Google pages for each of the candidates who's applied. Continue to fine-tune the interview questions. Arrange accommodations. I think we were talking about you all agreeing to put them up. They come over, and I'm guessing that would be Friday night if the interviews are on Friday. Location, my understanding the location will be the boardroom, district boardroom. Picking the visitation committee, and then arranging all the food that you'll be eating during those 2 or 3 days. That's it. It'll go fast here. We're very excited for you. You're going to have a great new superintendent here very soon. Any questions?
Well, we're looking forward to it, Scott. Appreciate your help.
Me too. I'm very happy for you.
Good.
Thank you.
That's a lot of people. Good deal. Thanks, Scott. 12.2, Napa Riverbank Restoration Project update.
Unfortunately, as you're aware, we lost a huge section of the riverbank along or behind the solar shade structure close to the playground, and we wish today to give you an update on where we are. We would like to start by having Chris talk to you about the current conditions of the riverbank, and also then Jenna will follow up by talking about the potential funding sources. All I can say, it has been very consuming to just begin the process of looking into the different government agencies that we would have to work to potentially get the riverbank restored and repaired. So, Chris.
All right, so since our last update at the January 17th board meeting, unfortunately we've had some more erosion take place in that area. Over the weekend of January 21st and 22nd, there were some pretty good storms that brought the river level up to the point where it did some undercutting, and we lost about 2 more feet of bank, mostly in the area that was affected the worst from the initial failure. The riverbank is now on our side of the fence. That's the permanent fence that runs along the length of the river. Right after that picture was taken, those 2 poles dropped into the riverbank. The maintenance staff ended up taking that fence, pulling it back because if it falls in, or it gets going, we don't want to have that fence taken off down the river. So pulled that all to the side. I guess these pictures did have a better idea of what it looks like there. Looks like we have a storm coming in tonight. The National Weather Service is expecting 2 to 3 inches of rain in the next 24 hours. Flood advisory for this area starting at 10 o'clock tonight and ending tomorrow at 4. They're predicting the river level could get up to around 16 and a half feet. Just over this weekend, the highest it got was close to 7. So unfortunately for us, that level of the river goes right into, I guess you'd say, the sweet spot of that bank. It's a lot of sand and a lot of silt right there. So the more the river undercuts, the more we're going to start dropping. We're currently about, you can see at the bottom left there, inches away from the corner of the plate structure containment box with the tan mark. So the next thing that goes likely going to be that close there. But, keep our fingers crossed that these roots might help protect a little bit. There seems to be even more now after I was out there today. So I guess we'll check on it tomorrow afternoon and Wednesday morning to see if there's any further issues. And then to kind of compound the problem, on each end of the damaged area, there's a group of trees, oaks, and then I don't remember what the other type of tree was, but basically you can see in these pictures that there's just basically a root ball hanging, nothing below it but river, and just the roots that are inside of the riverbank are what's holding them there. So I met with Jake from Pacific Tree Care on Friday to discuss what we can do to mitigate the chance of that falling and causing more issues for us on the river. So I'm hoping to hear back from him towards the end of the week. Unfortunately, because of the instability of the riverbank, he can't bring his equipment close enough to pull trees out, so we'll likely have to get a pretty large crane in there to reach that stuff. If it gets too close to the edge, the heavy equipment and then pulling the trees, it's just, we could have to look at that failure there. So hope to hear something from them this week. We did meet with, last week we met with a company called Environmental Science Associates. We met with Jordan Lumber, who's design director, and Aaron Fulton, who's a hydrologist and engineer. ESA has done numerous projects on the Napa River in the recent years. The most recent would be the Berry Street Bridge project and the Napa River Rutherford restoration. I think partnering with them would be beneficial to us because they have a lot of the environmental reports that are required, hydrology reports, environmental reports, the CEQA documents, and they're also they have a good standing relationship with the contacts for the permitting agencies that are involved in this project. Just off the top of my head, before that I know, it's Fish and Game, the Army Corps of Engineers, Water Quality Board, and U.S. Fish and Wildlife, just to get approval to start work on it. So, for the current condition, that's what I have. Does anybody have any questions?
It's a bummer.
It's really a bummer.
We also have been very proactive in trying to identify potential sources of funding, and we have identified a few. However, there are always the issue of trying to determine again as to whether the work can be done within the window that they want to done completed. And the fact is that we are going to have to get regulatory permits to be able to do the work. So Jenna will talk to us about that.
So at this point, we think our best option is NRCS, and that stands for Natural Resources Conservation Service, and they fall under the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And they have come out to look and determine that this is an emergency situation. If they were to provide funding, they would cover 75% of the cost, but it cannot be more than the value of the structure that we are saving, which is our shade structure. So they'll provide 75% up to what that value is. So they'll come out and have a recommended solution. At that point, once it gets approved and permitted to move forward, we enter into a contract with them, at which point they start work. There's a 10-day completion, possibly 20 maximum, and that is with a requested extension. And that's the only way that that type of funding will come through. It has to be completed in that time frame. For the other 25%, we're still exploring options and are hoping that we can maybe partner with the Flood Control District for sponsorship. There's also a Coastal Conservancy grant out there. It's an urban greening project grant, and this would be more something that would probably apply after that initial fix so that we can restore what's on the actual ground where the shade structure is currently. So kind of after that initial fix and stabilization process is how we envision it at this point. And then lastly, because the county did declare a state of emergency, that does make us eligible for FEMA and Cal OES funding. The downside to that is that it usually takes a couple years to actually get the cash. So at this point, we don't know, unfortunately, until we get into it, what's going to work out for sure, but it looks like this is where we are.
Question or two. You said 75% of the cost of the structure of this. Now, that would not be the ticket that to restore the bank, is that correct? Price?
Well, that depends, obviously, but that's all they would pay. Only they want to make sure that the restoration, the project they would not fund any more than 75% of the property we are protecting. So, because their whole idea this is federal funding, is to protect life and property. So they identified the physical buildings, in a sense, that are in danger of of the district losing them, in this case, if the riverbank continues to erode in those areas, and that's where they use. And that would also be not just the value of the structure, what it costs the district, but also, in a sense, the cost of the energy savings that we're losing as a result of having to remove the structure and keeping it, it wouldn't be functioning as a structure. We could also extend, I believe also they said, the value of the land, too, of that section. We're also looking as to what percentage, not a big percentage, but of the portable building, that district building that is being used as an office by the Boys and Girls Club. They would also include the potential access required into the property. So as you know, one of the difficulties of the district is that we don't have access to the back of the property through Berry Street. So Silver Street is a private street, and as you know, we have completed a lot of construction projects, and I think the neighbors understandably are hoping that we would stop using it. But necessities like this, emergencies, requires us to do the work. As Chris said, we may have to bring a crane to remove the trees to alleviate the issues that may be causing additional erosion. So it all depends. We're not going to know exactly how much that will be until they look at all of the costs and the value of the different areas that I just mentioned. All I can say, it is a very intricate and very complex project because we have to really get the same permits, I'm sure, that the city of Calistoga had to obtain to do the Berry Bridge.
Now, weren't you saying too that the USDA is kind of like a temporary?
Correct, and that's why we mentioned in terms of long-term goals would be to get a grant from a different government agencies where we can actually expand the projects to include plans, to include, so almost kind of incorporated or come up with a design that would incorporate environmental lessons for the students. So integrated as part of the curriculum. That would be...
We're doing it, it's right
Right.
hands-on.
Yeah, that would be the long-term goal, and as Jenna said, that would be a couple of years at least. Do you have anything more to add? Any other questions?
Any questions?
Are we trying to restore the bank or just stop the erosion process?
With this grant that we will be receiving is an emergency, that's the only reason, so it is stopped, okay? And restoring it would be more extensive, and that would be a future project, and it would also be a lot more expensive to do that right now. So their recommendation is, again, come in and let's fix it, let's get it under control, and ensure that we don't lose any more property.
Brian, want to come to the podium?
Yeah, a question for Chris is, your pictures don't show it, but there's that tree that fell down that is angling that water straight under the bank. So is that the first thing? Because you really can't correct it unless that has to get out of it.
As part of meeting with Jake, since he's going to have the crane there and the crane would be required to remove that, he's in contact with Sean with the Napa Flood Control to discuss them possibly helping with some funds, since we're going to have a crane out there already, that we can get that removed. Because if you're standing there, you can just watch the water just come right around and just
Oh yeah, and then a little further down, 20, 30 feet down, there's a number of trees, and there was a bunch of debris that had caught against those, and it was directly towards the corner of that building, the Boys and Girls Club was using. I saw that too. That would be easy just to remove my hand, but I'm not sure what you're allowed to do.
Yeah, we're working real close with the Napa Flood Control. They've been a really big asset for us in terms of just references and information and help. And yeah, it's definitely tough to find your direction on how to move forward with everything.
As the board will recall, Christina Frankel, our architect, gave a presentation and identified those issues that needed to be corrected immediately. She was here last month.
Any other questions? All right, moving on. 12.3, Safe Haven School District Recognition Samples.
That's me again, okay. At the last board meeting, Ms. Galindo brought up the fact that a neighboring school district had taken action on a resolution. And at the direction of the board, I am bringing to you sample resolutions that have been adopted by other school districts in the area. One of them, Santa Rosa City, and the other, I don't recall exactly what other district that came from, but there are two sample resolutions. Fairfield. So what I would like to say to you is that the board can go ahead and choose to adopt one of these resolutions, and it is a symbolic action because the federal laws as well as state laws already exist that protect all our students, obviously, the safety, but specifically, for instance, I would like to mention that there is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, which prohibits schools from providing information from a student's file to federal immigration agents. Okay, so that's a federal law, and that's just one section of the law. There is also a Supreme case that came out in 1982, basically, that ruled that undocumented children have a constitutional right to receive a free and public education, K-12 education. The ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, there is a policy memo, basically, that they issued back in 2011, basically saying that there are certain haven locations. Schools are part of it. Schools, churches, there's a long list of other locations where they cannot come in and conduct any raids or generate fear. So you have had an opportunity to take a look at these two simple drafts, and I will be more than happy to bring to you for action if you so choose. So I need direction from you, and if you are to ask me as to which resolution I would like to present to you, I think the one that is much better written is the 12.3, which is the first one.
Questions, comments?
Also, we've already got all the protections, so this is kind of a symbolic thing for the community. Is that what
If I may, yes, a lot of individuals that are concerned with our current results of our election, presidential election, a lot of them are unaware of these laws. And so by us making this symbolic gesture, it allows them the information to research it, especially if we cite all these precedents that we have there. And so it's mainly just informative and symbolic that they are, because there was some concern brought to my household from students that attend schools, that they were concerned. So it is symbolic, just to ease the tension.
Pros, cons?
I don't see any, the pros are obviously that, as Trustee Galindo stated, for those families who may fear or be anxious about their children coming to school, it reaffirms that commitment that we have their confidentiality and their safety and their well-being as one of our highest priorities. That would be one of the pros. We can reaffirm that. One of the cons of I would say that in some cases too, you may find that, typically a lot of the families who are not here legally also don't want to bring attention to themselves. Okay, so it all depends. It all depends as to how the public will view it, okay? Might there be some pushback about individuals in the community who don't believe that that is our role?
But we're already doing it.
But we're already doing it. That is our obligation. And by law, we have to do that.
I must agree with you. The first one is better written, well written. The second one brings us specifics on why we're feeling it necessary at this present time to bring forth this safe haven issue. And so I would like to vote integrated if possible. That's my opinion.
Bills?
So would you want to refer to
Oh, absolutely.
the draft
Do you wish to have me bring that as an action, or do you want me to make the revisions and bring that back to you?
It's up to you guys. Let me know.
That's fine. I think
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so
I can also go ahead and make the changes and revisions and then send the revised version to everybody.
that what you say? Okay. Moving on, 12.4, you again, articles of interest.
Okay.
Sometimes I like paper.
School Services of California, we received the reports, and this one, when I believe that obviously it is important for you to be informed about a particular issue that is happening at the moment, and this is the CalSTRS likely to lower investment expectations, what basically means increases in pension rates. And at the last board meeting, Jen, I spoke to you about the increases also in CalPERS pension rates. That is a cost to employers, to school districts, that is becoming really very, very high and really hard to keep up with that. And I'm sure that the city of Calistoga would agree with that too. We're looking at potentially 30% of the base salary for CalSTRS to be paid by 2024, I believe. And then we have here CalSTRS who will continue to increase the rate of pension contributions that employers make. That's one. The other one I thought was interesting is close to home. Santa Rosa School District financial challenges are not a crisis, not a surprise. I think that's not unique to Santa Rosa. Unfortunately, other districts throughout California are beginning to experience that. During the downturn of the economy, districts, including this district as a basic aid district, we lost a lot of revenue because our revenue is really based on property values, and if property values go down, decline, then revenue to the district also declines. For LCFF school districts, they rely on state funding. However, again, during the decline in the economy, the state really cut back on funding and even took money back, basically, from school districts. And just the economy began improving in the past 3 years. Districts began getting additional funding, new revenue, and it just seems like the good times don't last very long. So keep that in mind. The last one, I'm sorry, I missed the first one. Special education cost continues to rise as funding declines. Special education, this is not news to you. We have a significant encroachment from special education services. It's a federal law. We have to obviously meet the needs of our students, but the district contributes almost $1 million into the special education fund for us to be able to provide the services. So again, that's just critical information that you need to have at hand.
Thank you. Questions, comments? All right, moving on, 12.5, principal's report. Calistoga Joint Junior, Senior High School. Craig and David.
Sure, I can start. Our first part is dealing with conditions of learning, and as you can see from the board report, we are always an ongoing process of aligning our curriculum to Common Core state standards. Just in the past week or so, 2 different core academic areas have met staff. We provided them a release day to do that. Also, 2 our social studies teachers will be planning the same thing in the next couple weeks. Last year, the Common Core state standards for social studies was released. 2016, and so we want to make sure our staff are aligned with their teaching practice and curricular to meet the standards. So that's an ongoing thing we're constantly working on. One of the focuses of our staff is to delve into the book mindset, psychological success, and we've been doing that for our staff meetings. We're also sending a group of teachers to a conference in San Francisco in 2 weeks, and that's being paid for through the Cal Foundation grant. It was started by Dr. Brown last year, who wrote it, and then Mr. Kumamoto and I finished up with the help of Jenna and District Unique in District 2. So that was nice, we got that grant. So that's helped pay for that. And then part of the grant is to infuse brainology, and that'll be taking place in the junior high science classrooms. And so we're excited about that too. And then we also wrote a grant through Apple Learns to bring distance learning. As you know, we're a very, very small school. We could be smaller, but we also are. So our master schedule is constrained with offering the classes that we want to provide for our students. Our goal too, besides education in math, science, social studies, and English, is to expose students to possible future careers. And we have students who are interested in maybe pursuing the medical field, or nursing, something like that. We can't offer a standalone class for that. The great thing about a distance learning class, we partnered up with Apple Learns and an organization called Edmentum, and they have a course catalog, all A through G approved, and probably over 120 different courses. And I've listed some of the different courses as you can see on there. So that's going to be really exciting, and just hearing feedback from our counselor, Mr. Craig Morales, who's been going into the classroom and talking about registering a lot of kids are excited about it. So the opportunity to take some class in veterinary, or that, psychology, nursing, medicine, those are there. That'll take place during a class period. Mrs. Hill, our social studies teacher, has been targeted. Part of the grant is to fund training over the summertime. Apple Learns will be paying for that. They also have promised us all new Chromebooks for the classroom, so there'll be updated devices. So there'll be a lot quicker internet and accessible for the students to do some of the more complicated courses that are offered. The students' transcripts will reflect not Edmonton as a path, but will actually reflect the course that they signed up. So when they apply to colleges or go on to say veterinary science, direction of veterinary science, or whatever classes that they decide. There's criminal justice, which is kind of exciting. We have students who are interested in that. So that's neat. And then we've also, our science teachers are moving toward a next generation science standards, and something that they will probably represent. The teacher board meeting is about moving from a 2-year requirement to a 3-year science requirement, which is what the next generation science standards. And we'll need to talk about what that means implications wise, space, because currently now both the high school science classrooms are built, and so is the middle school classroom, junior high classroom is built for the period. So future agenda item. And then we're also trying to push it into internships. Another way for our students to explore possible future careers. It was something that worked for me because when I went to high school, I thought I wanted to do something, and then I spent a semester working in an internship, and I realized
That's not what you wanted.
that's not what I wanted to do. But it was a good thing I did it when I was in high school instead of when I finished 4 years of college, and then realized that's not what I wanted to do. So we have a couple students currently out, but we'd like to expand that, and that's part of the registration process that our students do, mostly for our juniors and seniors, because we're seeing some limited. We're a small town on the internships, but the city, we've been in dialogue with them, and they're very open, and we only have a student there within the police department, and then another student in ag, and then one of our Palisade students. And Mr. Kumoto will speak to it. Did you say the Chamber of Commerce? We'll have Mr. Herbert contact the mayor.
So real quickly, Craig covered a lot of the instructional pieces, so I'll cover kind of the fun stuff. Our ACE program has active break activities for the junior high. As you know, we're a closed campus for the junior high, so the kids stay on. And they've been opening up the gym, opening up the playground, basketball courts when the weather was nice, just to keep the kids active during break. Breaks at lunchtime. Lunchtime is about 40 minutes, and kids, you got to give them something to do, as probably most of you know, otherwise they find things to do on their own. So that's been a real great help for us. I'm talking to some teachers and try to participate with them, to have like a teacher team on when they play hockey in the gym or something, just to kind of spice it up with the kids and get them a little excited to come out and either cheer on their friends and see how that works out. The other thing that, as Craig mentioned, at Palisades, we had a couple students come back from Palisades to the high school and integrated and plan to graduate at the end of the year. This year also at Palisades, we have about 7 or 8 students on track to graduate at the end of the year. So we'll have a Palisades graduation. Ellie has been, Belinda and Mark and a few other folks have been coming by to help out with mathematics and really work tutoring the kids one-to-one. It's been really helpful for them. It really motivates them to get over that hump of getting stuck. So they have someone who's there by their side each day or 2 days a week. That's been really helpful to them. They've also enrolled in some classes at the community college. So they're taking welding classes down at St. Helena High School through Napa Valley College, as well as fire tech and automotive classes at Santa Rosa Junior College. It's because of the flexibility in the schedule, it gives them that freedom to be able to leave and go to another campus, take the classes. The kids are funny. The first day, one of the students went to his class. He had 2 classes, so we didn't expect him on campus that day. He left, realized that he had 3 hours between classes, ran back to Palisades, said, "What's my homework? I got to get my homework," and then went back to class in the afternoon. So he was really excited. The kids had a lot of support from Ms. Hansen, who presented the other day. She's been great. I don't know if you all saw, but the Weekly Calistoga had an article on Palisades and some of the things that they've been doing over there.
When's the graduation?
I think tentatively we were looking at the day before all the other graduations.
But you'll let us know.
Right, so the high school is Friday, junior high is Thursday, elementary is Wednesday. So we were looking at Tuesday, but we'll confirm that and get the date.
Just one last thing, March 2nd is our community open house and showcase night. I invite you to come. I know the athletic boosters have been there, and it's been a great thing. And then also, too, if you saw in the paper, Mr. Grove, our ag teacher, or ag teacher, had a nice article. He said the fruit trees are being delivered this Wednesday. So if you want to come by sometime between 9 and 12, there's going to be 22 trees and 20 fruit trees showing up to provide the basket. So that's exciting.
Shovels included?
That's right. Bring your shovels.
Okay. And then 12.5.1.
So I was asked to present some information as far as some of our procedures for student safety regarding athletics as well as on our campus. So in athletics, we have coaches that are certified. They go through trainings. They have their CPR first aid certifications, as well as going through different classes such as mandated reporter, sexual harassment trainings. They also take classes through the National High School Federation of Sports, fundamentals of coaching, as well as a concussion protocols class. The students fill out paperwork before they're able to participate, and in order to participate, actually, they need to have a Wildcat credential, which looks like this. These credentials have attached to them the emergency forms, information that coaches need in case somebody gets injured either at practice or during a game. So these forms kids need these before they can try out, before they can do anything. So these are the first step. Once we get these, then the coaches carry them with them and have them present at both games and practices to make sure that they have that information at their fingertips. Coaches are also given information about emergency numbers. Karen Yoder, the athletic director, her number is available to all the coaches as well as mine, and as well as local fire and police department to contact them if emergencies rise to that level of need. We also follow on the North Coast CIF, North Coast section. They post a sports medicine handbook that we review and use as a guide for our own safety protocols here on the campus. It's something that Ms. Yoder reviews with myself and with coaches. If some of the coaches at the meetings, we talk about different issues that come up. As I said, it's very important that we have all the information from the students before they can even participate. It's just one way to guarantee that we have the right people, the right kids on the field or on the courts. As far as school-wide safety, we have handbooks that we hand out at the junior high and the high school level, which have the rules and those safety procedures for our students. Teachers go over these in the first weeks of school. We also have our emergency drills that we do every 5 times a year. Thank you. So we practice fire drills, earthquake, got intruder, suspicious objects, so shelter in place. So we practiced each of those the last several years.
I have a few questions.
Sure.
I requested a facility safety plan, and what was given to me was the 2007 second edition CIF Sports Medicine Handbook. And in it specifically says, this is, I read in the introduction, this edition is not intended to be a comprehensive sports medicine manual. These guidelines are not to provide a standard of care and are not meant to supersede medical or administrative judgment decisions that must frequently be made on the scene by appropriate individuals. This handbook is meant to serve as a guideline to CIF member schools administration, coaches, medicine staff, students, athletes, and it goes on. If medical advice is required, the service of a competent medical professional should be sought. Also, in the sports medicine bullet where it says athletic participation checkbook, page 8 of that manual. I've coached here for 2 football seasons and 1 basketball season, and I would like that we reviewed it. Page 8 has a lot of items of concern of mine. Page 9 has more concerns of mine. Page 10, page 11, page 10, page 29 specifically. 29 is something dear to me because it doesn't mention if a player has like a sprained ankle or something and wants to come out of the game, that he is afforded that opportunity by a coach. And that's concerning me because you would think that that isn't something that needs to be mentioned. But it should be because I witnessed it.
Okay.
I just think we need to review this a little more in depth.
Okay, well, okay. That's fine as far as guidelines. Maybe that's something that you guys can work on.
Okay, and I guess another question of mine is, what other guidelines other than the forms, the informed participation forms, what other guidelines that we pulled from here, have we pulled from here, that we've enacted, that we've applied to our facilities and our, just a few things, just the guidelines in general, which it speaks of, I feel is deficient. So we are deficient in pulling out policy from these numbers. I would like to see some review on this topic.
I would just like to remind the board that on any policies or procedures that we have, ultimately, obviously, it is the person in charge, the employee, who uses their best judgment at the moment to determine how they're going to respond to the situation they're dealing with. I understand the incident that you're referring to, and again, based on the conversations that I have had with the athletic director as well as with David, at that moment in time, they felt, as well as the other coach, that they used their best judgment. None of us have medical training or medical credentials to determine whether a student injury is a break or is just a sprain, or yes, we have to sometimes just use our professional judgment as to how we respond to those situations.
With all due respect, I totally understand what I'm referencing. There's another incident that happened on the away game where an individual sprung his ankle and tried to pull himself out of the game and wasn't allowed to. And also in these guidelines, it specifically says that we should have pardon me, I'd like to get the verbiage correct, but a certified trainer, certified athletic trainer, page 10, in the emergency management checkbook for school administrators. I mean, like I said, I think we need to review this and we have pull more policy from these guidelines.
David, do you have anything more to it?
No, I mean, it's something that Karen and I have been working on, and we'll follow up, and I can meet with you, and we can address some of the other concerns that you have.
Definitely, I appreciate that.
Moving on, Principal Nicole, CES, 12.6.
Just trying to get this oriented correctly. Good evening, everyone. So at Calistoga Elementary, we are continuing to have our release days. We had our December release days, which is provided to us by the Educator Effectiveness Grant, which has been very helpful this year. And we are looking forward to our March days. And really what we focus on is what do we want our students to be able to know and learn? How do we know if they've learned it, and what do we do if they're struggling or exceeding? We also are continuing to engage in vertical articulation again. And we're also keeping an eye for professional development needs next year. I know that coming to you in February and already starting to talk about next year, it's just the cycle of the school year, and you have to start looking ahead and working with staff and determining where your next needs are going to be. In addition, I did want to bring to your attention that we went through and looked at the SELT data that came to us in early January, and I think a shout out for our teachers because we had a 10% jump in our students who grew. Yes, I will. Who grew a SELT level. So the SELT stands for the California English Language Development Test, and it's administered to each English learner until they are redesignated or determined to no longer need English learner services. And so what happens is in the summertime and in the fall, we go through and we assess our initial and our annual students. Our annual students are the students who take it every year, and our initials are either newcomers to United States schools or newcomers to California schools. And so what happens at the end of October is we pack that test up and we send it to the correction agency, I believe it's ETS that still does it. And then in January, we start to get our data reports back. And so we upload those into OARS, and OARS starts looking at from CELT, because it is still the California state standards. It only looks at student progress from year to year, so 15-16 to 16-17. And so one thing that we noticed is we were pulling our possible redesignation data. These are students that we go through, we pull a list based on if they are overall what we call early advanced or advanced on the CELT with no subscores lower than intermediate. There's actually 5 levels to the CELT, so advanced is the highest and beginner is considered to be a level 1. And so we pulled that data, and in addition to pulling that data, we noticed that there was a jump of students who moved from example, a beginner to an early intermediate, or an early intermediate to an intermediate, or an intermediate to an early advanced, or sometimes we had students jump up 2 levels. And so what we found was that last year, about 52% of our students moved 1 CELT level, and this year we're at 62%. In debriefing that with the staff, we really feel that it is attributed to the shifts in instruction that come with the Common Core. The expectation of how to help students with that deep and critical thinking, the annotation of text, and the increased emphasis on reading and writing. And so even though the CELT is not testing for California State, or excuse me, it's not testing for Common Core, really an unintended consequence is I think we're getting better performance on that test, which ironically, this is the last year we are going to be giving the CELT, but I think we're celebrating that nice bump. The other thing I want to give a welcome for this weekend is that we're going to be having our Valentine's Dance. It's going to be happening here at the junior senior high. There's actually going to be live music. And we are doing advanced ticket sales. And so we do have advanced will call for people who are interested in going, and we'll be doing ticket sales at the door. And the group that is sponsoring that is our English Learner Advisory Committee. And they're really looking to raise funds for more programs and services to help support our English learner students. And then finally, we are in the season of starting to prepare for our CASP, which is the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress. This is a required test for grades 3 through 6, and then also in middle school, and then I believe also in 11th grade as well. And so we've been going to various trainings offered at the Sonoma County Office of Education, and then also the CDE also offered some additional training. The next steps that I'm moving forward with is getting a testing schedule. I'd like to have that released to my families by next week, so that as they're doing things like planning doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, possible meeting along weekend or things like that, they can hold that schedule into account as they move forward. And then additionally, one of the trainings that I went to last week really focused on assessments called interim assessments. So they're not the final test that the students take and get ultimately evaluated on. Interim assessments are practice tests, or they can focus in on certain standards, or they can actually be like a mini CASP. And so that was something that at our site we were having a little more struggle of getting those integrated. And so we are going to be working next week on getting those interim assessments integrated in practice before the CASP.
Questions?
Just to clarify, the CASP for grades 3 through 6 and 7, 8, and 11 is in math and English language arts. Additionally, we will be taking the California Science Test as a pilot test, which means we will not be getting scores. And those impacted grades are grade 5 in the elementary, grade 8 at the junior senior high, and I believe the other is 12th grade over at the high school.
Any questions? Thank you, Nicole. Item 12.7, annual financial report audit letter. Yeah? Yeah. 12.7.
This is actually a report we get twice a year from the county office. Every time we do an interim report, they send a follow-up letter. So this is something you've seen before, and this is actually for first interim, which you saw a couple months ago.
Okay, any questions, comments? No? Okay. Moving on, consent.
Can I make comments? You know, your comment cards are just to pertain to your item number 10, public comments.
Yeah.
You could change the city council has it so you can itemize the thing you might want to speak on. But can I speak on this briefly?
On 12.7?
Yes, 12.7. I'm just, in one of the other items there, you talked about the Santa Rosa School District, and on your agenda it says it's neither a crisis nor a surprise. But that may in fact result, the problems over there with the budget may in fact result in layoffs, which I think is a crisis for those who are laid off. Additionally, there was a surprise there that they had accounting errors by staff of totaling almost $4 billion in unaccounted expenses that they weren't in their budget, they didn't budget. So that was a surprise, in fact. I bring this up because also this item here where it says, we noticed that the current fund balance of the district's capital facilities fund 25 is not sufficient to make the $329,000 in 2016-17 debt service for the district's certificate of participation loan. And I don't think that's a surprise either, because I think when that whole thing was discussed and brought up, there's been questions about projections. If you recall, this building is 20% smaller than it was originally designed because of the erosion projections that Caldwell Flores Winters put forth on, I guess it was going to be the money tax, property tax revenue, more erosion projections, and then also for some reason they thought the recession would result in decreased construction costs. So I'm just saying, and Matt and Mark, you weren't around here, but this building was designed bigger and it had to get shrunk a little bit because the money wasn't there. So I'm just saying, please be very, very cautious on future expenditures because I don't know, and I don't know if you can address how this is going to be addressed, that amount of money and that loan being paid off.
So I just want to clarify, we're talking about two different things. This was our GOB, and our COP is different. So our COP, what they're referring to is actually budgeted in our general fund. They're just saying that we don't have money in Fund 25, which is where we get our developer fees, to cover the COP, and that is true. We budget it in our general fund.
Moving on. And Brian, well, maybe we'll make adjustments to the cards. Consent calendar. Actions proposed for consent agenda are deemed routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless any member of the board, audience, or staff requests specific items be removed from the consent agenda for separate action. Looking for a motion to approve the consent. This is a roll call. Clerk Elkishan. Trustee Lopez is absent. Trustee Reed. Trustee Galindo. Student Rep. And President Maxfield, aye. All right, moving on. Item 14, action item. Protocol for action item includes staff presentation, questions from the board, public input, deliberation by the board, and voting by the board. During public input, there will be a 3-minute time limit per person. Isn't that kind of redundant? Didn't we already? Okay. All right. Item 14.1, Resolution 161707. The district and city have prepared the temporary construction and access easement agreement, the terms of which are incorporated herein, whereby the district would grant a temporary construction and access easement to the city upon the area of land in exchange for compensation from the city to the district. Recommendation to request to approve Resolution 161707, approving conveyance of temporary construction, access, and easement to the city of Calistoga as requested. I'm looking for a motion.
Well, I first want to say before I move to it, that I feel very confident the city and the school district will, just like we did with the bond measure and the construction of the school, make sure that everything is safe for the kids. And if it isn't, give them means and more. So I move that we go ahead and approve the temporary easement.
Looking for a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Student Rep? Okay. Opposed? All right. 15.0, future agenda items. Budget calendar, facilities update, athletic update, Williams Quarter report, and special education report. Board calendar, Monday, March 6th, regular board meetings, and Tuesday, April 4th. And that will be the meeting where we approve the superintendent. Hey, sharp timer. All right. Okay, and we will need to reconvene to close session for about 15 minutes. Is that correct? Okay. So we're going to do that. Closed session. Second. All in favor, aye. We should go back to the... Gotta walk to the car.
I know, we ran out.